So as many of you are aware, I have access to some pretty sweet specialty strength equipment, not just in consideration of specialty bars and attachments, but also larger footprint pieces, including but not limited to the belt squat, the reverse hyper, the 3D scanner we have, etc. Knowing as much, what's interesting is some of the most versatile pieces that I have are actually pieces that end up on a shelf when they're not in use. They're out of sight, out of mind, and often not considered. One of those pieces is a simple Rogue landmine attachment. It's a very simple piece. It's a attachment used so that you can incorporate row and deadlift variations without grabbing onto the sleeve of the barbell, but it contributes so progressively to exercise selection, and further, how much you can do with the landmine attachment now that grip strength is not the limiting factor. Consider, for most people, the sleeve of a barbell is of such a significant diameter that they can't even get their hand around it. Now, I'm somebody that I can get my hand around the entire sleeve. That's a non-issue, but just the fact that it is such a significant diameter in comparison to a traditional training implement grip, such as a dumbbell, or a pull-down attachment, or grabbing on the knurling of a barbell, even my grip fatigues first on anything that involves the posterior chain, whether I'm doing rows for mid and upper back, or whether I'm doing deadlift variations of some form for the glutes, hamstrings, and lower back. And this becomes an issue because then you don't even want to incorporate landmine variations that can effectively target these muscles as primary, because all you feel is your grip and you can't effectively apply adequate degrees of stress to the muscles you're trying to prioritize, so you do it in other ways. But getting a simple attachment piece such as this allows you to overcome that grip factor, because obviously the diameter of the grip of the landmine attachment here is much more reasonable. So what I like to do is I take two sets of collars, or one set of collars, two individual collars, and I place, and I place, and then I lock the handle in just like so, giving more than adequate space for plates on the bar. Now, obviously, if you're extremely strong, you might take off one of the clips if you can bring the plates right through to the attachment handle. But whereas otherwise your rows would be limited to maybe a single arm landmine row and basically no deadlift variations, because it's, consider if your grip is going on a row variation using the landmine attachment grabbing from the sleeve in any way, the likelihood of you being able to move much greater loads in a deadlift variation is quite high. Therefore, grip is going to get shot right out of the gates doing any sort of deadlift variations. But now you have the opportunity to work on your deadlift variations with this much more reasonable handle. You can work on your single leg variations. Hopefully I don't flub this on video in one straight shot, right? As well as you have different row variations available to you now. You can do these on a bench, etc. Employ a supinated grip. It opens up the door for quite a few more exercise variations, obviously not limited to what I just showed you there. And this allows you to do so much more with the landmine attachment, which, as I mentioned in another video, is such a great attachment to have in a garage gym setting, especially because it adds so much more versatility without adding a footprint to what limited space you may have. And having a simple piece like that that can end up on a shelf or hung on a wall in some way expands upon this already versatile tool that you can use for so many pressing variations and explosive exercises. And now you can incorporate so many more leg variations and mid and upper back variations without having to worry about your grip giving out first. I just thought it was worth sharing that, you know, a simple attachment like that can be more than a few bucks, can add so much more to your training. You don't always have to go for the newest, biggest, shiniest piece. You don't need to spend $3,000 or $4,000 in order to add more to your training setup. You don't need to spend that much money to add an entirely new library of exercise selections or a significant addition of exercise selection to your current training regimen. A simple adjustment just like that can make a world of difference. And I can't tell you how many people I know that have access to a landmine and they don't even have the most basic of attachments, which is that. There's some incredible attachments out there that I've seen. In fact, some of them are designed specifically for deadlift variations as well as pressing variations. I've seen some incredible attachments for that, and I'm looking to get my hands on some of them so that I can not only incorporate them into my own programming, but I can do some reviews of them and let you know if they're cost effective and if the versatility they offer is worth their while. But like I said, a simple piece like that makes a big difference, and I wanted to share that with you because it can really add to what you can do with what limited space and equipment you might have without breaking the bank. So, if you found this to be informative or useful in any way, please follow or subscribe depending on what channel you might be seeing this on. And as per usual, if you happen to have any training, nutrition, or lifestyle questions, make sure you send them my way. And if I'm able to, I'll answer them, and they'll be posted in an upcoming piece of content.